There's no time.
The time is
13
o'clock.
Hey everybody, it's episode 140.
Yeah, we got a good one. This is another true crime one.
Yeah.
Serial killer stuff.
Yeah, this has been recommended multiple times.
Yeah.
This is the Canadian serial killer Robert Willy Pickton.
Yeah.
Better known as the pig farmer killer.
The episode we just did, the Black Hopes episode, I guess a lot of people don't know what that's about. That was the ghost case that
Poltergeist
is based upon.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not getting a whole lot of hits, but just letting you guys know. You can go back there and watch it. It's not a curse. It sounds like the title.
It's the cursed episode.
The title sounds like it's talking about a curse. It's not. It's talking about a ghost paranormal.
Sort of. Although
thing.
that's generally what they call it. Like
Right.
when I went to search for it, that's usually what it's called.
That's what they call it. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so but this one, going back to the true crime, talking about another serial killer. Like I said, this guy has been recommended for the show like lots of times, and he is like super disgusting.
Yeah, he's a dirtbag.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Kind of like something out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
This is like, I was gonna say that this guy saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and was like, that was like his aspirational movie.
Yeah,
except he's
that.
like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be like a bigger sleaze
Yeah.
than the Sawyer family.
Yeah.
From, you know what I mean? But it's the same kind of thing, like slaughterhouse type shit and like
Living on a pig farm.
Yeah, and shit like that. So
Killing women on a pig farm.
Yeah, it's super sick.
There was a movie kind of like that back in the 70s. Used to trip me the hell out, man. It was called what was that? Motel Hell?
Oh yeah.
Isn't that the one about the people that were planting?
All kind of critters going, what's his
Going to
face?
fritters.
Yeah.
Cannibals.
And then they buried them up to their necks and
Yeah.
you know,
Had 'em
their
out
little
there in
heads
the
were
yard.
sticking out.
Had them out there in the garden like they were vegetables growing.
Because they were growing people, because that's how biology works.
Yeah.
Whatever. It is a fun movie though. We should probably do a fucking
do a review.
we should
on
do
that
a
one.
review on that. I was just thinking, shit, this is episode 140. That's only 10 more episodes until our big 150th episode, which I still don't have any idea what we're gonna do.
We're gonna do something for 150.
But we'll do
yeah.
something special. We'll think of something. We only have 10 more weeks to think of something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Book sales are doing good too.
yeah. And honestly, I'm about a quarter of the way through Faceless Villain Volume 3.
Yeah.
And I'm also recording the audiobook at the same time, like while I'm writing it.
Right. We got a new microphone.
Because we got the new microphone and everything. So I'm
That's why
trying
we
to...
sound so good right now.
I know, our dulcet tones.
I know.
La la la.
The other one's up there. I don't know what's wrong with it. I think it might be the plug.
Just the plug for that.
I think that's got to be repaired.
Because, I mean, if we could fix it, then we'd have two nice
right.
ones, and that would be cool.
Right. So I'll look into it.
Yeah. You could fix it.
They were talking about that problem, and somebody posted a video on how to do it. I have a solder gun, and I got solder. I could get in there and do it probably. Might buy a new one.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it's no
plug.
big loss if you don't.
Right.
Because we can't use it now anyway. Because
Well, you can revive in $100 microphone though.
Yeah,
just for a few cents, it might be good. Good idea.
Right. So before we get to all the serial killing and pig farming and whatnot, got a few shout outs. Got some new patrons this week. We got a new patron whose name is Rick, spelled R-I-K, just like on the Young Ones. If you guys are old like me and remember what that is. I barely remember that. From the early 80s.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Also, our longtime patron, Mary Ellen, quadrupled her support. So that was like
Everybody
really
sending
awesome.
us money. Everybody said we're almost up to $500.
No, we're over 5. I think we're at 528 or something like that.
It's taking a while, but it's getting there.
That's all right. It's and honestly, like I said, it's like, it's nice to get money, but it's like, even if you just share the show with other people and stuff like that, like everything helps.
Yeah, it all helps.
Also, one of our fans and patrons, Rob Levinson, is a filmmaker.
Yeah, I talk to him on Messenger sometime. I mess with him, fuck with him a lot. Mess with his mind.
And he is making a movie about 9/11 called Where Were You?
Yeah.
So he's doing an Indiegogo for it. And I will put the link in the show notes and everything like that. And I'll probably put it here in the video too. So go and check that out and help him out. It sounds like a really cool project. So you need to go check that out. Also, I want to mention this. And I just found this out today. We're recording this on a Friday. I just found out today that Lorraine Warren died.
She died? When did she die?
Yes. I guess it was today or yesterday. Well, one of our fans, like, I kind of heard about it from somewhere, but one of our fans, Joanie, she told me about it on Facebook, and I was like looking it up. I'm like, oh my God, she finally.
Lorraine passed on to the other side. She's in the other dimension.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what? That's what we should do for our 150th episode. We should try to contact her.
Yeah, right.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm fucking with you, Lorraine. It's like, I know that, like, we shit on the Warrens a lot because they seem like hucksters and everything like that, but she genuinely did seem like a nice lady.
Yeah.
And, you know, she lived a very long time. I think she was 92.
Man,
so,
she lived a long time, yeah.
Yes.
She was doing paranormal TV programs.
Yeah.
You know, not too many years ago, it seemed like she'd show up. You know, what was that one with the...
Yeah, she was on A Haunting. She was on
yeah.
Paranormal Witness. She was on all that shit. She was still making the rounds, man. She's pretty
Yeah.
spry.
Yeah.
So, and I think she might have been still maintaining that museum that they have that has Annabelle and all that stuff in it. I don't know. Like, they had kids, right? And then John Zaffis is their nephew, who's like that other paranormal investigator.
Right. They, you know, just because the Warrens were involved with the case doesn't mean the case was a hoax. They were involved in some good cases.
Yeah, and I think we might have mentioned that on our show.
We've mentioned that many times. Yeah, I've also gotten flack for bagging on the Warrens. No, not the Warrens were involved in some real cases.
Yeah.
You know, but I think also the Warrens exaggerated any case they could get their hands on. You know.
Well, yeah, because they were trying to sell books and lectures and stuff like that. Which, you know, I respect the hustle.
It was a business. Yeah.
I see what you're doing, but you know what I mean. It's funny because I think. We don't get, surprisingly, as big of assholes as we are, we don't actually get that many negative comments, but I will go out on a limb, because like I said, I usually just go through and delete them, like, every day, because I'm just like, whatever.
Talking about that particular episode?
But, but that episode that we did about the Warrens, that is easily the one we get the most negative episodes on, and it's
Some
usually
people
stuff
just
like
want to believe. They just got to believe.
And it's always people like that, like, well, if you guys saw a demon, you guys are so stupid. It's always that kind of stuff. Like, we can do shows about all the, you know what I mean? It's like we did a show about, like, occult Nazis, and it's like, you know, I don't think I got any negative comments on that, but we do one about the Warrens, and everybody loses their shit.
Losing their shit over the Warrens,
Loses their shit.
About demonic possession.
Right. So they're like, no, it's real.
There's how am I going to put this the right way?
I don't know. Let's see.
There comes it gets to a certain, you know, level to where it's not credible anymore. Some of the claims are just too outrageous.
Yeah.
For some of that stuff.
They did a werewolf story, you guys, and they wrote a whole book about it.
They got werewolves right up there with demons, with you know, demonic possession.
I wish werewolves.
I think that, you know, there are certain things in poltergeist phenomenon where the poltergeist focus exhibits behavior that looks a lot like demonic possession.
Yeah.
There's no demon in there, though.
That's just
RSPK.
how they wanted to.
It's how they're interpreting what they're seeing.
Man.
Right.
That's how they wanted, because then they can come in all godly and shit.
Yeah.
And then,
there is a paranormal, but sometimes faith can cloud your perception of a paranormal. You know, of a paranormal thing. It can cloud your perceptions. You know, Southern Baptist is going to see one thing, and then that same event, a Muslim might see it different.
Yeah.
You know, they might say that's a jinn, right? So faith has a lot to do with it.
It's all in how you look at it.
Right, and then a parapsychologist who's an atheist going to go, no, this is something quantum. This is the subconscious mind.
Which is where I'm kind of falling.
Right, and that's kind of where I fall. Even though technically I'm an atheist, and but I also believe in an afterlife, and I believe in a God. But my version of it is more, I would say, more like something you'd see out of Star Wars with the Force, you know.
Yeah, like it's not an intelligent.
It's not an intelligent being. More like just some
Right.
kind of a universal, more like a place, like another dimension.
Yeah, I got you.
You know what I mean? More like, I think the afterlife and other dimensions and God are all kind of like the same thing. In a way.
It's interesting that Lorraine Warren we just found out today that, or I just found out today that Lorraine Warren died because just last night we went and saw The Curse of La Llorona, which was kind of like indirectly associated with the Warrens because it's part of that whole Conjuring universe. Now, I think I said, because by the time this comes out, you'll have seen our matinee episode where we reviewed it. It was all right. And I think in that I mistakenly said it was directed by James Wan. It was actually produced by James Wan. Yeah. He gave it to somebody else to direct.
He's making his own movies.
Yeah, so that's why. I just wanted to like clear the air about that because I don't, like I said, I don't usually research the movies or read reviews of them or anything because I like to come into them without any preconceptions. Yeah. You know what I mean? I just want to like see it.
It's an okay movie.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't bad.
Man, I was scared. That thing had my hair standing up there the first half of that movie.
It scared him, you guys.
It's like, yeah, it was that screaming.
It did not scare me.
That screaming and that woman coming at you in that bridal gown.
It was cool imagery though at the beginning. Yeah.
But then, like halfway through it, they kept showing it too much, and then he showed us its face.
That's what I mean. It's like, there it is again. There she is.
They're like, man, it's Ben V from Ludovico Technique in a dress.
That's what he said. We were talking about it on the way home from the movies.
We're friends with Ben V.
This band Ludovico Technique, they're from here. Mm-hmm. And the singer Ben V, he like does makeup kind of like that. He's a cool looking dude, and like he goes and he was like driving. He's like, it just looks like Ben V in a wedding dress.
You gotta show a picture who we're talking about.
I'm like, oh my god. Yeah. Oh, I laughed and laughed.
Ben probably kick my ass next time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He hasn't been out a long time though, so hopefully he doesn't listen to our show because we're gonna get.
You say I look like this thing in a dress, man?
Yeah,
what?
He's the type that would get mad.
Yeah, he gets kind of uptight. Sometimes.
He would get mad. He's gonna kick both our asses, and he probably could because he's a lot bigger than me.
Yeah, I don't think he can kick my ass.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
It'd probably be a good fight.
It'd be a fair fight.
It'd be a fair fight. Yeah.
And I would.
We'd probably just beat each other. And I would
videotape it with my phone.
We would just beat each other until we were just too tired to continue anymore. I've had that happen. You just, all right, man.
Just never mind.
All right, man. Fuck it. Let me sit down. You want a beer? They're gonna sit down. Damn.
Oh, dudes.
Yeah.
You guys are so fun.
Yeah. Just get tired of beating each other.
Yeah. Well, you know. Yeah. You made your point, I guess.
Yeah, right.
By that stage.
Both parties want to break it off. We're like, yeah, we won.
Yeah, you can go tell your friends separately that you won that fight. And no one will like contradict. So it's like, whatever. It's mutually assured destruction. All right, so let's get into talking about this charming, charming individual known as Robert Willy Pickton. Probably better known as Willy Pickton, a.k.a. the Pig Farmer Killer, or my very favorite nickname for him, Pork Chop Rob.
Damn! You made that up?
No.
Somebody else made that.
That's on the fucking Wikipedia page.
Pork Chop Rob.
Yes. I don't know who calls him that. Even though most people, I feel like most people know him as Willy Pickton, and most people called him that, I think.
Now, Pork Chop Rob, that was the name made up from after he was found guilty of all these murders?
Yeah, well, because this was another motherfucker that had been doing this for ages
before he got caught.
This is kind of another thing where it's like, what, I murdered like 40, 50 people, maybe as many as 70, who knows? And then finally, because it was just prostitutes or just drug addicts, and so no one gave a whiff of a fart about it until
a whiff of a fart.
Right, that's what I mean. Not even it wasn't even no one gave a fart. No one even gave a whiff of a fart. The hint of a fart.
Well, that's a transient population. If they come up missing, people don't know where they went.
Right.
They're not reliable to begin with.
Although, I mean, a lot of them did get reported missing.
Yeah, but authorities just think that they skipped town and run from
that's exactly what they
running from drug debt.
Yeah, and it's like, and it was one of those things where like years later they go to the property, like search for some other illegal shit that he was up to, and they're like, oh, look at all these fucking body parts.
Yeah, look at all these bones, yeah.
They're everywhere.
Right.
Oh, God. Okay. This guy.
All right, let's get into it.
Lord. All right, now, most of the things, it's interesting because, I think because this happened in Canada, it was in Vancouver, and they have a thing where he still has a bunch of charges pending. This motherfucker's still alive. He still has a bunch of charges pending, so they have kind of like a gag thing where they can't like talk about the case that's ongoing, which I guess they kind of have here too as well. Like you're not allowed to disclose like details and stuff. So a lot of the sites that I read, I went to like Wikipedia, Murderpedia, like all the normal places. So they're kind of saying, oh, well, we don't know much about his childhood or about what he did or anything like that. But then I see this like hour-long documentary that was on History Channel or Crime Channel or whatever, something. And it was about him, and they talked quite a bit about his childhood. So most of the information I got about his childhood is from that. So if it's inaccurate, blame them, not me. I'm just repeating. I'm just repeating some shit that they said. So now this is what they said about his childhood. Now they do know that he was born in 1949, like I said, in Vancouver. Now he's born onto his family's pig farm. This is like, he's like third generation pig farmer. Now, even for pig farm, and I'm not shitting on pig farmers, because man, pigs are cool. I like pork. I like pigs, you know, just that they're cool animals.
Yeah, and farmers make money.
They do.
They make in this country and in Canada.
Well, they did in this case too later on. But even like for pig farmers, when they were kids, now the parents, the mom's name was Louise, and by all accounts, she was a total psycho. And also, what is that noise?
The cat's tearing it up.
Oh.
What are you doing? She's on top of it.
I keep like hearing in the background going, what is that
She's
sound?
on top of the damn cat tree.
She's just like, she knows that we're in here talking and we're not talking about her. So she's like,
yeah.
She's like, what?
Pay attention.
Pay attention to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the mom, I don't really know all that much about the dad, but the mom apparently was like this huge, I mean, she was like the boss of the farm, and like everybody did what she said. She was just like this crazy, crazy woman, and she had like this really high screechy voice, and she was like always going around like screaming at everybody. So Willy Pickton has two siblings. One's named David, and then he has a sister named Linda. Now, because the sister, I guess the dad was like, well, the pig farm, it's no place for a girl to grow up, so she got sent away to live with relatives. Lucky her, because she actually turned up normal. She had like a normal life. She, you know, she went on married. She had like a normal job and shit like that. She didn't end up like these other dirtbags at this fucking farm. Okay, so now some of the stories about their youth go thusly. So evidently, Willy Pickton and his brother David, they would go to school, and because they were pig farmers, and apparently on the pig farm, they just let the pigs like live in the house because that's what you do. And they weren't a big fan of showering. So apparently, when they went to school, and like I said, this is a fairly rural, so a lot of the kids were farmers, I think, or, you know, were kind of, you know, they had jobs in that sort of arena. But even among those people, the kids no one would sit by them on the bus. You know, they'd come on the bus and they had like lines coming off them like pig pen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's not normal in America, man.
That's what I mean.
Americans shower a lot. Well, they shower to wake up. They shower to come back and work.
It wasn't normal there either.
Yeah.
Because all the other kids hated them and wouldn't sit by them, called them stinky piggy.
Yeah.
You know, they'd get on the bus. Everybody'd be like, what the fuck? Yeah. And they would all like, you know, like move toward the back and stuff. So, like I said, it wasn't normal for Vancouver either, even though it was like kind of rural. So it was like a kind of thing where he gets picked on at school a lot. Evidently, neither one of them was the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree, you know, if I can put it that way. So they weren't real big fans of school anyway. I believe Willy Pickton dropped out when he was 14 to work on the farm because he apparently turned out that he was really, really good at dissecting pigs, you know, and like cutting them up and butchering meat and stuff like that. So there was that whole thing. Now, there was also a story, and like I said, I don't know if this is entirely true. This might have been something that Willy Pickton told, you know, the guards at the prison or, you know, whoever, or said at the trial. But he said when he was growing up, he was a pretty normal kid up until the time that he went and he bought like a calf that he was going to raise. And they said he loved this calf and it was like his pet and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And then he comes home from school one day and he's like, hey, where's my baby cow? Like my pet, my best friend. Because he didn't have any friends because he smelled bad. And also he was kind of weird and dumb. Right. So he goes and his mom says, oh, we'll go look out in the barn. And they had slaughtered his little cow.
Damn.
So
Guess
I don't
they
know.
wanted veal.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if his parents just did that to be dicks. I don't know.
It sounds like a lie to me.
That's what I mean. So I'm just saying that's what they were talking about on the documentary, and that was something that he had said or something somebody else said about his childhood or whatever.
Farm families know how to deal with all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
It doesn't sound right to me.
But maybe, I mean, maybe he was trying to make it seem like he was like super lonely because
He
he
was trying
didn't
to
have
get sympathy, I think.
Yeah, because he didn't have any friends or nothing like that.
Right.
Like it was just him and his brother kind
Farm
of.
families, would buy something like a calf like that, and they would tell the kids what was going to happen. You know what I mean? Or like, well, we don't get attached to this. This is food. This is going to be a veal, or
Right.
we're going to let this cow grow up, and when it gets to a certain size, we're gonna turn it into steaks.
Yeah.
So this isn't a pet. This is
Right.
work animal. That's how that goes down. I mean, that's just the way farming families are.
Yeah, and like I said, I
And the
would
kids
think
are all
that,
professional about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
They don't get.
But-
they know the difference between a pet and a food animal.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like, I don't know if there was some thing where he bought this animal as a pet because he was raising it. Because apparently he bought it.
I wouldn't think that a pet.
So
parents-
I don't know.
Well, didn't they say his mom was an asshole?
Yeah, his dad was probably also an asshole, but his mom was like a bigger asshole. So I hear.
I still just I have a hard time seeing even asshole parents going out of their way to be cruel to a kid behind an animal that's a pet like that.
Yeah, but
It's possible, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I have heard
Sounds
about
unlikely.
parents doing stuff like that. I mean, you
Yeah,
know,
where's that raccoon? And then he killed that raccoon. Remember
Right.
that? Yeah.
There
That's the
you
story.
go. See, and there's the callback for the one person on YouTube
Yeah.
that was
It's
like,
like,
"Oh,
what
I
happened to
missed
the raccoon?"
where's- There it is.
We don't know where a raccoon is.
No, we do because we saw one
Yeah, we saw one
last night when we were coming back from the movies,
coming in through the gate.
and we were coming in through the gate, and we were talking to the guard who's like
yeah.
a friend of ours because he's like works there at night all the time.
He just
So-
asked about what movies.
yeah,
and
he's like,
everything.
"Oh, what movie did you see
I'm
today?"
talking to him,
and
and I
stuff.
saw his little head peek around the corner
With little
looking.
mask.
And I said, man, there's a raccoon right there. Oh yeah, he's coming to see me.
Yeah, he's like, "Cause I feed him."
Yeah, and I was like, what? He's coming to see you, and he walks right by it. It doesn't even run. He goes to his car, opens up the trunk, pulls out a bunch of dog food, sets it on the ground, pours it on the ground, and he's going out there with his hands eating.
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
That's what's
He
so
goes.
cool
He
about
comes into
raccoons.
the guard shack, and he hit me on the. I was kind of dozing off, or watching TV, but he said, and he hit me on the foot.
It's like, "Hey, buddy.
Hey man, come on, where's the food?
the food?"
Yeah.
Well, I told you it was like when I used to work at a newspaper in Daytona, there was like a little family of raccoons. It was like a mama and like 2 or 3 babies.
Yeah.
And they lived out in this, we had this big, huge fucking giant parking lot. And they lived out there in the woods. And like there was one girl that worked there and she would always take like pizza crusts and like other things out there to feed them.
Yeah.
So they were used to people coming out to the parking lot.
Right, they're begging.
And they would come out and like on their
Yeah.
back feet with their little hands out. I said they looked
Yeah.
like little Dickensian orphans. Like,
Yeah.
so please, sir, may I have some more? With like their little
Yeah.
hands extended. I'm like,
Yeah.
that is the cutest shit ever.
Yeah.
They are so cute.
Okay, so we gotta get
All
back
right.
to this guy.
So now, what we were saying about his mom Louise being an asshole. Now, as I said, take this with a grain of salt also. But listen to this shit. This was another story from their youth or their teenage years or whatever that I saw in this documentary. So, Willy's brother David, he gets like to be 15 or 16 and he gets his learner's permit or his driver's license. So he's out tooling around like a teenage boy is going to do. And he's not really that experienced a driver, as a teenage boy is not. He hits a kid that's either like riding a bike or walking on the side of the road. I don't think he hit him on purpose, although it's possible. But so he hits the kid like flies off the thing and they're like, "Oh shit." So he's all busted up and fucked up and everything. So they drive back to the farm and they tell their mom, "Hey, I just hit this kid with a car." And she's like, "Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it." She goes back. She rolls the kid into a ditch that is filled with water. Now, the kid was still alive at this stage, even though he was all fucked up and everything. And he might have lived if she hadn't rolled him into this ditch full of water and he fucking drowned.
Did they find the body?
Yes.
So this probably did happen.
Yes.
So they know the body that you were talking about. Okay.
But evidently they got the body picked up. According to this documentary, they picked the body up, they did everything, but no charges were ever brought because they still ruled it an accident.
Right.
Even though the kid would probably still be, because he died of drowning. So
Right.
he was still alive after the car hit him.
Yeah, but they didn't know that the mama rolled him in there until later.
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah, they just found the
But
kid
yeah,
in the water.
she's just like, yeah, I'll take care of it. Whoop.
Right.
And that kid was probably like,
Wow,
what the fuck?
so that's plausible. It's plausible that happened.
That's what I
Because
mean.
there was a
It's
body associated with that story.
not- Yeah.
Unless he knew about that case and then made up a story about his mom doing it.
Yeah. I don't know.
There's no way of knowing.
No. And like
Okay.
I said, there's not a huge amount of information. It's weird because there's not like a huge amount of information about this fucking dude.
Right.
And like I said, I think it's because there's a lot of cases still pending against him. So they don't want like a lot of information about him getting out or
Damn.
something like that.
Canada, man.
Well, I mean, but this documentary apparently found out all this stuff about him, so I don't know. And there's videos of him like talking, like confessions, and there's like a PDFs of his confessions and shit like that. So now when Willy Pickton and his brother David and the sister Linda, when they get older, their parents die, as they do, and they all have the farm left to them. Now, Linda, like I said, she had never been on the farm because she grew up with relatives, so she was just kind of like, fuck this shit, I'm out of here. And she went off to have a normal life. Really, Willy was the only one that was into the farm thing. Although David hung around too, he was a little bit more popular with women and stuff than Willy was, so maybe he actually showered once in a while and stuff. But here's the fascinating thing. In the 90s, they decided, well, this is too much farm just for two guys or whatever. So they they wanted to sell part of the farm off, not all of it. Because it was like a pretty big, I don't know, 13 acres, 14 acres, something like that. So it was like so they sell some of it off. Now, figures I've seen for what they got for this property are somewhere between $2 and $5.5 million.
Well, damn.
Yeah.
Well, damn. Canadian or U.S. dollars?
I think Canadian.
Still a lot of money.
At the time. Yeah, it was a shit ton of money. Now...
That's enough to turn any life around.
Right, but think of who you're talking about.
Right, yeah.
Because here's the thing.
Probably
now,
squandered that shit.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that apparently, like I said, Willy Pickton... He stunk. He was stupid.
Right.
It's like, so he couldn't get laid, like, legitimately.
Right.
So when he gets all this money, he's like, cha-ching, prostitutes,
Right,
hooray.
yeah.
So he starts, like, hiring prostitutes. And then, and then it just escalates from there. Well,
Right.
like, he would, like, buy them drugs. He would give them money, like, and all
So
this
these
other
are
kind of shit.
streetwalker.
Yeah. Well, where he got most of the...
We're not talking about the $1,500 a night call girl. We're
No,
talking
no,
about $30 a pop streetwalker.
If that.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's...
That was what level he was at.
Yeah. Even though he was technically, I mean, now a millionaire. So,
Yeah.
but that was how he decided to use his money. He's like, I'm just going to like shower, I'm going to make it rain for these street hookers.
Right, yeah.
Which, fuck, man. They just wanted drugs and money, and they were like, well, he
Damn.
stinks and shit, but
Yeah.
he's got money, so that's fine. And most of them, like the ones that survived anyway, said that he was like a pretty nice dude.
Huh.
Which I always thought was kind of strange, except for when he wasn't.
It's when he's killing people.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
So... So this whole thing so he has all this money and all this other kind of crap. Now, in 1997, he picked up prostitutes from this area. It's this notorious neighborhood in Vancouver. It is the poorest neighborhood in all of Canada and has highest HIV rates and everything. They said basically it's just like really, really dangerous. It's only like a 10-block area, but
Well,
it's
that
like...
means it may not even be there anymore.
Well, I don't know if it is. I mean,
Okay.
everything that I saw was from a couple years ago, and they have been talking about...
So it's still there.
And
at
they were
least a
talking,
couple
so
there.
it might still be there.
Okay, because Detroit, I lived in Detroit for about a year, and the worst parts of Detroit now are gone. They've just been bulldozed,
Yeah.
and a lot of people just left.
Yeah.
Or they died off. Generations weren't replaced. They just...
Yeah,
it's like
this
an
is just an
apocalypse.
area where, it's just
Yeah.
prostitutes and drug addicts just like
Yeah.
walking around everywhere and shit. So that was where it's called the Low Track. That's kind of its nickname. So that's where he would go to get prostitutes. Now, he picked up this one girl whose name was Wendy Eistetter. And he brings her back to the house, and according to her, he put because he was into bondage, I guess. So he puts handcuffs on her, and she does not like that. So she's trying to get out of the handcuffs, and then he starts to try to stab her.
Damn.
She gets the knife away from him and stabs him back. Now, one of the things I saw said that she slashed his throat. I don't know if she slashed his throat or if she just stabbed him in the stomach or whatever. And then she got the fuck out of there. She, like, runs off the farm. She flags down a car.
She must have been handcuffed in the front.
Yeah.
And she just had the handcuffs on when she escaped?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she flags down a car. The car takes her to the hospital.
How big is this guy?
I couldn't really tell from the pictures. He just looks like... He looks like a little, scrawny, bald scumbag.
Okay.
Like, he might be tall. I don't know. But
so
he
we're
doesn't...
not talking about a physically imposing kind of guy. Then.
Well, are they ever? I mean...
Right. No, sometimes they are. Or you would think they kind of are.
I mean, serial killers. A lot of them are just, like, little wormy-looking dudes.
Right.
I think we mentioned that before.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
And he's the wormiest. Like, he really looks like a sleaze. Like,
sometimes reality and movies kind of blur together when we're talking about
right.
talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I'm thinking of that dude, that big
You're
old
thinking
dude.
of Leatherface.
And then I'm thinking about Motel Hell. They got the damn pig mask on and the chainsaw, and remember that guy?
Yeah. This guy does not look like that.
Okay.
I mean, he basically looks like he looks like some weird, creepy carnival worker where it's like if you saw him like across the street, you'd like cross the street and be like, what the fuck? Okay. You know what I mean? Like he's not bigger into. Yeah, he just looks like a dirtbag, like some homeless dude that gets on the bus and stinks and you like move away from him. He looks like that. So
with millions of dollars in his
bank. And he's got like millions of dollars. So now Wendy, like I said, she stabs his ass and she gets away from him and she gets a car, she gets somebody to give her a ride to the hospital. Now she gets to the hospital and they're fixing her up or whatever. And then Willy Pickton, who has also been stabbed, he goes to the same hospital to get fixed up. Now the doctors at this point, she's like, well, she has handcuffs on. And Willy Pickton has a handcuff key in his pocket. I wonder if these two cases are related.
Right, yeah.
So they take the key from his pocket and unlock her handcuffs.
Right.
Now, it kind of sucks because he kind of got away with this. Like, he did get arrested for attempted murder or sexual assault or whatever it was. And she would not testify because she was scared that he would kill her.
I don't understand that you can't kill a motherfucker from behind bars.
Yeah, but if he didn't get out, like, I can understand that. And also,
because she thought that he wouldn't get convicted or he would bond. He had enough money to post bond.
That too.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, she where she didn't have anywhere to go. She couldn't like hide or nothing like that. So she declined to press charges. So he was let go.
Damn.
Now, at this stage,
and that was in the beginning of his career, all this shit.
As far as they know, he might have killed people before that, but I'm not really sure. Okay. Because they never have established. This is another fucker that they have never established how many people he killed, just because
the nature of the victim. Yeah.
Well, one, the nature of the victim. Two, what he did with the bodies. Like most of them, he would cut them up, or he would grind them up in a stump grinder, or he would feed them to pigs. Sometimes, that they know of. It's like, so they have no idea.
Turn them into pig feed and then sell the pigs.
Yeah, they have no idea like how many people he killed. Yeah. You know what I mean? They don't have like any proof, because mostly what they found was just like body parts and shit.
Wow.
So this part kind of cracks me up. So Willy and his brother David, they take some of their money and they take like one of the slaughterhouse. Like I have some pictures of, like the search of the property. Oh, what are you doing, kitty? She hit the
waking up.
She hit the camera with her butt. She's like, "What? That's not where I wanted it."
Okay, good.
All right, thank you. You gonna do it again? Don't move it. Okay, good girl. So they take one of the slaughterhouses and they convert it into how can I put this? It's kind of like an entertainment like kind of center, maybe. So it's called, you're gonna love this, it's called The Piggy Palace Good Times Society.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is... So they've
The
essentially...
slaughterhouse is now a community center.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've essentially started a company,
Okay.
like an event. They called it like an event planning company or something like that.
Okay.
Their stated goal was, and I quote, to organize, coordinate, manage, and operate special events, functions, dances, shows, and exhibitions on behalf of service organizations, sports organizations, and other worthy groups.
Man, that's all gobbledygook.
Yeah. So this is something that they've started, but what it really was just a way to have these big, huge parties where hookers could come and bikers could come and like drug dealers could come there and they could have these big, huge parties.
And did they come?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they said some of their parties, like I think when they had their New Year's Eve party, like in 1998 or something like that, they had like 2,000 people show up or some shit like that.
Didn't it stink to high heaven? It's a pig farm.
That's what. See, now this is why I have so many questions.
Yeah.
One, okay. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
So I know this is maybe like rural Vancouver and stuff, but
Yeah.
seriously, do you really not have anything better to do than go to a place called the Piggy Palace,
Yeah.
Good Time Society, and hang out with a bunch of people who sleep around pigs and don't bathe themselves?
I got 4 motorcycles. 3 of them I built myself. Actually, all 4 of them. The fourth one isn't done. I would never go to a damn pig farm to go party. Never.
That's what I mean. Why would you? I have to kind of question.
I passed by that old biker hangout Cabbage Patch one time and went, man, that place looks like a dump. I ain't going there.
It is a dump.
It's a fucking dump.
I'm from Daytona. It is.
I wouldn't stop there.
But for whatever reason, like every time it's
Now, if
bike
it was
week
all
or
decked up and they had bands playing, maybe I would go to the Cabbage Patch.
they do, but that's the thing. Like
It
bike
looks like a hot dog stand.
It does. It's
Yeah.
very, very small, and
Yeah.
I wonder if people that come to Daytona, because like I said, I'm from there. I was born there. I wonder if people that come there for Bike Week or Biketoberfest or whatever, if they go, oh, the famous Cabbage Patch, it's like this dinky little shack.
Yeah. There'd have to be topless girls there before I'd stop.
There are. There's mud wrestling, corn,
Okay.
like
Anybody we know?
cream corn wrestling.
We know them?
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably.
Probably do.
But yeah, well, they kind of just set up the whole outside. Like they set up
Right.
a big outdoor stage and stuff, and there's
So
like 50
there is no
bajillion
indoor.
people.
There is no indoor
Not
element.
really. I mean,
Okay.
from what if you drive past it any other time of the year, it just looks like a tiny little
wooden shack.
shack with a big, huge like parking, like dirt
Yeah,
parking.
and there
lot
is like a
around it.
farm out behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's some Aileen Warnos shit, man.
Yeah.
I think she hung out there.
Really?
That seems like the kind of place
Yeah.
she would go. I don't remember if it was Cabbage Patch or maybe what the fuck was that other place called? I don't even remember. It was some place that I've never been there, but I've driven past.
Been living
it
here
many
for
times.
weeks. They have Daytona Bike Week all the time up the road. Have I ever been? I never even went. I never even went.
No.
I don't even
Well,
go.
it's
I don't come. I'm a local. I live here.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's very different when you live here.
yeah, it seriously, like
Yeah.
I said, I grew up my whole life in Daytona. It's really not fun. It's like Bike
No.
Week is
It's fun
Bike
for
Week
tourists.
was better than Spring Break. Spring
Yeah.
Break sucked.
Yeah.
The traffic was so
Right.
bad. You couldn't get, because I used to live like on the beach side. Because there's two. There's mainland, there's beach side. I used to live on the beach side. You couldn't get fucking anywhere.
Yeah.
You had to leave like 3 hours before you
Yeah,
could be
and I've
someplace.
just and a lot of guys,
that.
a lot of guys that
And
live,
everybody's like peeing on your porch
Yeah.
and shit. Fuck
and,
it.
and bikers and motorcyclists that are from this area, man, they dread Bike Week. They kind of dread it. They don't go to that. Not the locals. They're stepping on our turf. Yeah, it's that kind of.
Yeah, and
You
I've
know.
heard that my whole life. Like real
Yeah.
bikers are just like, man, what the
Get
fuck?
this.
They all come there and they're like brand new like biker costumes.
Yeah,
and
it's
shit
a,
like
it's a
that.
fashion thing.
It is, yeah. And so I did hear a lot of people like complaining about that. And like I said, it's gotten so big and so big. It's like they get like fucking 500,000 people, and you
Yeah.
know, Daytona's a relatively large town, but it's not really. It can't really accommodate that many people.
Yeah, I've had friends from the Buell scene. You gonna go be able to bike? You gonna go up to Daytona Bike Week? We're gonna be up there. Yeah, the Turbo Buell, Eric Z's Turbo Buell is gonna be up there. You gonna come? Yeah, no, man, I'm not going. Oh, you're not going? Yeah, that's all guys from out of town go.
Yeah, they come from everywhere.
Yeah, they come from everywhere
like
to go.
I
So
said.
no, I don't care about that shit.
You know, one thing that is neat in Daytona though is like the weekend before or the weekend after Thanksgiving they do Turkey Rod, And that's all the like old fashioned cars. Like people have done like all their really cool cars, and you can go. It's at the Speedway, and you can kind of go look at it. And there's that's kind of fun. I've done that a couple
I
times.
ought to show these people our motorcycles one of these days. I'll make a motorcycle video.
Well, yeah, I can insert it in the middle along with the itty bitty kitty intermission.
Yeah.
We'll put kitty intermission and we'll put motorcycle intermission.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, people are hanging out at the Piggy Palace Good Time Society. Coming there, hanging out with the scumbag millionaire. It is fucking.
I would have slapped that man if I met him. He had that amount of money. He didn't. When you have a chunk of change that big, you're an idiot if you haven't doubled that shit. It takes money to make money.
He is an idiot.
You should be able to make a bunch of money with that, $4 or $5 million.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Just a proper real estate investment, just buying the right house, you can make a lot of money on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, this guy.
Dumbass.
Yeah. Well, I'm not shitting on farm people, but as I said,
he was the wrong one though.
Yeah, it's like this guy just seemed like a total sleaze. It's like all he cared about was getting, fucking bitches. That's like all he cared about. And he's like, no one would fuck him voluntarily.
No, that money. Money had to be a factor.
So,
money and crack had to be a factor.
Yeah, so he had to offer them money or drugs or rape them. That was like all, and I guess that's how he looked at it.
You had $5 million, you think that you might just behoove you to take a shower. And then if you had
buy some new clothes, get a haircut.
Yeah, maybe even, get a facelift. Go to the gym. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. There's so
buy
many
some hair implants or some shit.
So many possibilities.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he lived in the middle of the fucking Ozarks or Antarctica or anything like that. He lived in Vancouver. It's a big city.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean?
It's a boring city, but...
Right, but I mean, there's shit there.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was just watching this video today. This girl that was doing, I can't remember what the name of her channel is, but she had done like a 15 or 16 minute video about this case. And she's from there. So she said that as part of her project, she was like a criminology major, and she went out to the property where the Pickton farm used to be. It's gone. They tore all the buildings down. So it's just like, you still can't go on there because the government seized it because they don't know if there's like other shit on there that they haven't found yet.
Right.
She said, so it's just got a big fence around it. But she's like, it's weird because you'd think of it as like this very rural, like out in the middle of nowhere and shit like that. But she's like, nowadays it's like, here's this fenced off piece of land and there's like a fucking Walmart. There's like all kind of shit around there. So,
things have changed since then.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird to think about. Like, even when I was looking at the pictures of it, it doesn't look like it's that far out in the middle of nowhere. And that's the thing. It's, he lived on a pig farm. It was a working pig farm. They actually had pigs. They slaughtered the pigs. They sold the meat. They took the fat and stuff to, like, the rendering plant nearby that they made other shit out of it. So... It's not like it was just this fucking in the middle of nowhere. And like I said, when they opened up the Piggy Palace, thousands of people came to these fucking parties that they had. So apparently the parties were pretty fucking epic. I guess they had some really, really, really good drugs. How good would the drugs have to? They would really have to be some good drugs for me to go out there.
I would never go out to that shit.
That's what I mean. It's like...
It's got to have an element of fucking cool to it. You know what I mean?
This just seems like... it just seems like in Daytona, if I grew up in Daytona, and the hottest nightclub in Daytona, this will tell you, when I was growing up, is called the Rockin' Ranch.
Yeah, bad.
And it's just this big country western bar.
People think of Daytona, they think it's going to be like this big international city. Man, that's redneck shit.
It is.
Daytona's redneck.
It's better than it was when I was growing up.
It's not far from here. And it's like what? 30 miles up the street?
Maybe 30 miles.
30 miles up the street. But Orlando's like... It's a totally different scene in Orlando.
And Orlando isn't even that big a city. I mean,
no, but it is a lot more sophisticated than that.
It is.
And you don't have the problems that you would have, like, say, in Miami.
Yeah.
I like Orlando. It's a happy medium.
Yeah, it's not so huge that you have, like, all these problems. And, and honestly, the...
we got good clubs in Orlando.
Well, there's good clubs here. There's good nights. There's actually good clubs
downtown
in Tampa.
Disney.
You can do that kind of touristy shit if you want, or you can, there's like cool clubs. There's the Enzian Theater that shows like really cool like indie movies and old movies and stuff, and so we have cool shit. We have some cool museums. We have a cool science museum, cool art museum.
There's goth clubs here.
Yeah, so there's all kind of cool shit going on.
Yeah, we're doing shit.
He's like, oh, we run that shit. We run that shit. Yeah, so All right, Piggy Palace. Oh my god.
Piggy Palace. We gotta get back to this.
Yeah. Actually, let's take a break because we're already like 45 minutes
fast.
in.
We gotta get to this case. We gotta talk about these crimes.
I mean, we are kind of talking
Okay.
about it. All right,
drink.
but we are gonna. Yeah. Holy shit! You need another drink
I need
already?
another drink,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. Okay. Well, it's Friday night. Whatever.
I'm holding on.
We're having our own Piggy Palace.
Man, I haven't
right
drank
here.
in a week, so I had this one and it's
Yeah, because
slamming me.
remember how I said last week? It's like.
I had to back off.
Yeah, because of all the stuff they told you at the doctors. That he was like, let's.
These doctors are trying to manipulate what I do.
They're trying
to restrict my greatness.
No, they're trying to keep you alive.
They're bothering me about blood pressure and triglycerides and fucking what they call it? Liver enzymes.
Yeah.
Liver enzymes. Your liver enzyme. I did that blood test. I was hungover when I did that blood test. That's the liver enzymes they're talking about. But yeah, I was hungover. They said, "Did you eat?" I said, "Did you eat today?" "No, I didn't eat today." "Oh, well, we're gonna do the blood work then." And they didn't ask me if I was hungover.
It probably didn't even.
I was a little bit hungover.
That's the weird thing, though. It's like whenever they do blood tests, particularly like lipid profile and stuff like that, they're supposed to tell you ahead of time, "Hey, don't eat for 12." I think it's 12 hours, 8 to 12 hours. That's what they used to tell me all the time because I used to always get my cholesterol tested when I had insurance. Yeah. But if you eat like in that time period, then it'll fuck up it'll make you look like you have way worse cholesterol than you actually have, or so they say. So they're trying to get you to not eat. But they didn't ask if you had drunk the night before.
Yeah, you were drinking last night?
You're like, I tied one on.
Yeah, I was fucking that tequila up.
I got some liver
enzymes. Me and Kool were running, man.
Me and the liver enzymes are just... God, the fucking liver enzymes all in the drink.
Yeah, I know.
Oh goodness. All right, so we're gonna take a break right now, and then we'll come back and talk some more about this charming motherfucker, the pig farmer killer. I want to call him Pork Chop Rob though.
Pork Chop Rob.
Because that's, I don't know. It's so cutesy, and that's just appeals to my fucked up sense of humor. But yeah, so we'll be back in just a minute talking about Robert Willy. The Faceless Villain, a collection of the eeriest unsolved murders of the 20th century, Volume 2, includes cases spanning the years from 1960 through 1979, featuring such infamous crimes as the triple homicide at Lake Bodom, the family massacre known as the Good Heart Murders, the serial killings of the Zodiac, Bible John, Jack the Stripper, and the Freeway Phantom, the slaughter of dozens of women and girls along the Highway of Tears and the Texas Killing Fields, and the mysterious death of suspected spy, the Isdal woman, along with dozens of other fascinating and horrifying accounts. Buy it now from Amazon in print, Kindle, or audiobook format.
You having fun? What you doing? What you doing? I know it's crazy, isn't it? I know it's insane. Say something for us. Say something. You got nothing to say? You hanging out? Yeah? What's up with the tail? What's up with that tail? What you doing? Say something. Say something. You not gonna say nothing? Yeah? Okay.
We're back for part 2, talking about Willy Pickton, the pig farmer killer, aka Pork Chop Rob, because I just like saying.
Yeah, we're talking about this scumbag while you're doing your commute or doing your chores at home or doing your tedious drudgery work that you have to do to make that damn paycheck. I know what it's like. I used to have jobs like that back before I became the big cheese.
Do you want to know what's really funny too? It's that we're talking about the pig farmer killer, and during the break, we're actually slow cooking some hot dogs.
Slow cooking up some hot
We're gonna
dogs.
have some hot dogs later for Friday. We didn't do that on purpose.
I turned that burner up full. We went to Sam's Club and they were giving those Oscar Mayer wieners away.
Yeah, we were like, we can't not buy these.
Yeah, it was a big old pack.
I like having a hot dog every now.
And they were like in packs of 5. So back in the old days, you'd have to like buy a pack of 15. You have to open them. You have to eat them all before they go bad.
Yeah, 15.
Now they're in these small packs of 5 in the big old damn box. And what would they wanted like $5 and something cents for that whole fucking huge box,
yeah,
right?
I didn't even think it was that much.
I said, I'm not letting them wieners walk off like that. I'm gonna put that on the menu. So what I did is I got a pan and I put some oil in it and I heated it all the way up. Threw 5 of them in there and browned them real quick and then covered it and turned it on low, very low, which is like warm. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna let them sit there for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
By the time I go out of there, they'll be cooked all the way.
We're done recording.
Slow cooked all the way through, ready to go.
Like I said, I'm not
like a rotisserie hot dog. Gourmet from 7-Eleven. From 7-Eleven. Wants to just spin on that damn rack all day.
I don't think I've ever eaten a hot dog from 7-Eleven. I've eaten some
man,
of their
they're
other
good.
Yeah, I've heard they are. I've
They're
eaten some
good,
of their
yeah.
other stuff. Actually,
Especially if people that work there are inattentive and they leave them on there for too long and they might have been on there for like 24 to 26 hours. Just sitting there at that constant temperature. Yeah, man. That's like the American version of the damn gyro meat. What's that Greek delicacy?
Right, yeah.
What do they call that? Shit's like that.
Oh yeah, the shit on the
man. That's a delicacy.
I can't remember what it's called.
That's a delicacy. That shit, that's almost as good as Vienna sausage.
Oh God. That just reminds me of my dad.
Vienna sausage is almost air. I think it's the main ingredient
Those
is air.
They smell so bad.
You cook them and they get huge. They're like a marshmallow.
My dad used to eat them, and it's like now every time I'm in the grocery store and I see those little cans of Vienna, because they still sell it, because people still buy them.
Yeah.
And
they come in flavors now.
Just like Spam.
Spam's good. You're busting on Spam if you know what to do with
love
Spam.
Spam.
I fucking love Spam. You got to slice it thin and you got to fry it.
It's good with eggs.
It's very good with eggs. You got to know what to do with it.
Man, the Hawaiians love that shit. They put it with everything.
And they have different flavors of Spam now, and it's not cheap like it was. It's expensive.
You have put it in ramen before.
Oh, it's good. Yeah,
and that was actually quite.
The
delightful.
Japanese put it in ramen.
Yeah, that was actually really good.
You just have to know what to do with it.
Although I like eggs in ramen.
It's salty. It's got brine.
It's very salty.
So if you slice it thin and you cook it the right way, you can get some of that salt out of it.
Yeah.
But it's a good breakfast meat. With eggs and like you make a sandwich.
I like it mixed with something because it's like I like salty shit, but that is like even too salty for
me. The World War II Army, the Army Infantry, okay, 101st Airborne Division was Spam powered. That's what they were issued. That's right.
There's another shirt right there. I'm Spam powered.
The victory that is America, that made America a global player, was Spam. Spam was the energy that did it. It was like some shit out of Fallout. That game Fallout. It's like Fallout 3, Fallout 4, yeah.
Spam. Spam. That's not got much spam in it.
It's good for it.
You don't even know what I'm talking about, do you? It's that fucking Monty Python sketch about the spam restaurant.
That's too British. I don't watch that Monty Python. It's too British and too effeminate.
Everybody knows about the spam thing.
Okay.
Now, speaking of pork products, so let's go back to the pig farm. Now, here's the interesting thing about... Because I just can't get tired of saying Piggy Palace Good Time Society.
Terrible.
Woo! Let's go to the Piggy Palace Good Time Society. We're gonna have a wild time.
I would slap that man for that.
Well, he deserves to be slapped for other things more.
Well,
this would be like the 550 millionth thing that you slap him for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's way down the list.
Piggy Palace.
So I forgot to mention that when they first started this little enterprise, that they actually registered it as a charity, which I guess they were allowed to do for a little while until the Canadian government came in and it's like, you guys are just having like raves and biker parties with hookers and blow, and so no, and they took their like tax exempt status away or whatever it was, and they also told them no more parties at this motherfucking site because this is clearly not what you said it was. So they did like get caught for that, but then like I said, they have a New Year's party anyway. They're just like, fuck you, you're not the boss of me, I can do whatever I want, blah blah blah. So they had like big parties. That's what I would do. Now all through this time period, there's this guy, and he's apparently working on the farm. I don't know if he lives on the farm or he works there. His name is like Bill Hiscox or something like that. And he starts to notice, he's like, all these sex workers keep coming onto this farm, and then I don't see them ever again. And that's a little weird. He also noticed that Willie Pickton had a lot of illegal firearms. So it was either him.
Well, this is Canada.
I'm not sure what illegal firearms there were.
In Canada, you can't own any kind of pistol.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Maybe some Canadians can tell. I don't know what all he had on there because they did find some shit. But here the problem is what ended up happening. It was either Bill Hiscox or some anonymous person that had been to one of the Piggy Palace parties said, hey, he's got all these illegal weaponry, which must have been like pretty egregious for somebody to like fucking notice it. But so they like called the cops and they said he's got all these illegal weapons. So the cops get a warrant and they go there to look for illegal weapons. This is in 2002. Now all the search warrant was for illegal weapons. They start looking on there, and then while they're looking around, they don't find that many illegal weapons, but then they find like it was either a mattress and or a piece of carpet that had a lot of blood on it. Mm-hmm. Also, they found a asthma inhaler that had a prescription thing on it for a girl who had been reported missing.
Right.
So they thought that was a little strange. So they're like, okay, well, they can't, because it's just like the U.S. If you have a search warrant for a particular thing, if you find other things, then you have to go back and get another search warrant for that thing. So they're like, well, okay, we don't give a shit about the illegal weapons anymore, but now we think some shit's been, like, people have been murdered on here, so let's get a search warrant for that. So they went back and did that. Now, it's sad, like I said, and we talked about this a little bit on our Highway of Tears show. We talked about this on anywhere where a serial killer, and I think, serial killers know this shit. This is why they target, people who are hitchhiking or people who are prostitutes or something. It's like, oh, no one's going to look for them and shit like that. Now, people were looking for them. In the documentary that I watched, there was a woman who... She was running like a community center for, prostitutes to come there and like get food and a place to sleep and like medical care and stuff. And she's like, I knew a lot of these girls and I noticed that a lot of them were going missing and I reported a lot of them missing. So there were, missing persons files with the police, but the police didn't really care. She's like, the police were like, oh, well, they're drug addicts, they're sex workers, they wander around. It's like, who knows where they went. But they noticed
there's something to that, though.
Right,
think about it. Your 5-year-old little daughter doesn't go anywhere. When she's missing, that's high priority. Okay? Yeah. But a 23-year-old hooker that shows up to your town, you don't know where she came from. You don't even know her family. She's there for a few weeks, and then you don't see her anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who do you tell?
Yeah.
What do you do about that? You say, hey, there was this girl here. We don't really know where she came from. She was here for 2 or 3 weeks. And now she's gone.
That's part of the problem.
And they're like, well, so what?
Yeah.
She, she wasn't from here to begin with. Maybe she went back home.
Yeah. Well, and that's what they thought.
So,
I mean, but there were
It's totally understandable.
But there were so many of them in this one area that people were starting to notice. They're like, where's that girl? Where's that girl? Where's that girl? Like, they were all here, and then they were all gone.
When I got out of high school in Brazil and came back to the United States and went to Detroit, all right? And before I went to the service, I hopped around in a couple different places in Detroit in a very short period of time. If I'd gone missing during that time, no one would know where the hell I'd been. Or, you know what I mean? Or if I had skipped out on a lease, you know what I mean? A landlord would say, there was this guy, I'm not really sure where he was from, and now he's gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They wouldn't know.
True.
Well, some of these girls live their whole lives like that.
Yeah.
So you have to look at it in that way.
Well, and it's interesting, too, because I was just, like I said, I've been working on Faceless Villain 3, and I was doing the audiobook, so I've been editing some of the audio. And it's interesting to me, like, a couple of the people that got, because there's, like, an alarming number, and I couldn't even put them all in the book, but there's an alarming number of girls teenage girls that are just, they're not even like prostitutes. They just like are like, oh, I'm gonna go to California and like, hang out with the hippies or whatever. And then they go and like hitchhike, and then they're never heard from again.
Right.
And then sometimes their families don't necessarily report them missing because
they just think they're out there somewhere.
they're just like, oh, they're just out there like living their life, and they'll get in touch with me and stuff. And I think that happened. So, but then they get murdered at some point. And then they don't know who they are. And, like, I was thinking of this one that was named, I think her name was Marsha King. They called her Buckskin Girl for a long time because when they found her just on the side of the road in fucking Arizona or Texas or something like that, and she was wearing, like, this poncho that looked like someone had handmade it. Like, it was, you know what I mean? It was, like, really fancy. So they called her that, and they didn't identify her for, like, 38 years.
Yeah.
And then later on they found it. And, like, they got in touch with her family, and they're like, she was just out like living her life, and like she was maybe hitchhiking or whatever. And like the mom, she's like, I stayed in the same house and I had the same phone number in case she wanted to come back.
Yeah.
But
so you can't really disparage the cops and the local authorities. There's a lot of people coming and going. Most of them are all right. Nothing ever happened to them. It's hard to tell the living ones from the dead because you don't have the body.
Yeah. And
then you can go on unsolved mysteries. I remember I saw one where they found a dead girl in a locker.
Yeah.
In an abandoned building somewhere. And she had black hair and moccasins. And they don't know who the hell she is.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that. Just some girl in her late teens, early 20s with damn moccasins with beads on it. They thought she might have been some kind of an Indian, a Native American girl, because she had black hair and those moccasins. And to this day, I don't think anybody know whose that is.
And there's a lot of those. And honestly, we were talking about this the other day, and I said, in some ways, because I write about so many of these cases, it's like it makes me want to just like go on web sleuth and see if I can like solve some of this shit, because it bothers me. It really bothers me that like all of these girls, like all these teenage girls, it's like they either ran away from home or. Or something like that. Or some of them didn't run away from home. They were just like hitchhiking to their friend's house or something like that. And they just disappeared. Yeah. And then later they find all these bodies just thrown on the side of the road somewhere. They don't even know who the fuck they are. This girl
I was talking about, they found her in the mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of those. And it makes you wonder, by what process does a person become so forgotten that when they die and are murdered and they find the body, no one even claims the body?
See, that's that.
What process has to happen for that to happen?
Because I've written about a lot of cases like that where they found a body, like I said. They
don't know who that is.
It's usually just on the side of the road. Now, they do, if they are pushed, they still investigate shit. They'll reopen it like every few years and see if they can match stuff up. And people on like web sleuths or something like some internet forum sometimes will make a matchup and be like, hey, look into this. It's like this girl looks like that girl that, was reported missing like 30, 40 years ago, and sometimes they'll match it up. But I kind of want to get involved in that because it really, really bothers me, like all of these. And like I said,
maybe your next book after this one will be something about that.
Yeah, because it just bothered me that there were so many Jane Does and John Does that have never been identified. They were found back in the 60s, the 70s, and they still don't know who they are.
That is right.
And it's like, and sometimes it's because, like in the case of Marsha King, her family loved her, and they thought she was still alive somewhere. They just figured, oh, she's out living her life, and it's fine. But she had died, like, only a few months after leaving home. And they didn't know all this time. And it's like they only knew, like, 38 years later.
Yeah, and if it goes on long enough, then the family members all die off.
Right, and it's like a lot of them do. And it bothers me so much.
Yeah.
But the thing about this, though, even though a lot of these women were drug addicts and they were prostitutes and stuff, they had families that were looking for them. They had people that worked at the social center that, noticed that they were gone, or like a bunch of them were gone. Also, the dude that worked at the farm was like, I see these girls like turn up and then I don't see them again. So what is happening to them? So there were people looking for these people, even though it was an inherently transient population. So, as I said, they found some possessions and some, like, an alarming amount of blood on this farm while they were looking for other shit. So they go back and they get another search warrant, and then they come back and start looking for shit. Now, all of the stuff they found at the farm, like I said, they still do not know how many people this motherfucker killed. So here's some of the shit they found on this fucking farm. So there are skulls that are like cut in half, like with one of those like big, those round, like circular saws that they used to like cut, pig
wood.
carcasses.
Okay.
Yeah, because he had a slaughterhouse. He was a pig farmer. So there were skulls that were cut in half. And then inside the skulls, there were like cut off hands, other bones and feet and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There was shit like that.
Wait a minute, they cut the skull in half and then they put the hands and the feet in the skull?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like shit like that.
Okay.
They just found all kinds of like bloody clothes.
Maybe he's
they
trying
found,
to take the identifying pieces and put them all into one area. Maybe.
Yeah, and they found, and it was just like all over the place, like everywhere they looked. So they found buckets. There's like shit in the freezer. There's like body parts and there's like heads and skulls. They found like the one guy on the fucking documentary was like, we found this bucket, and I'm like, I'm glad I don't have your job, man.
Yeah.
But it's like there's this bucket, and it's just like there's fucking skulls with like hair on it, just in this pink soup. It was just like fucking it was like that, and I was like, oh my god. So just like the shit they found around this farm was just like horrifying. There's just teeth, jawbone, skulls, bones, skin everywhere. And the shitty thing about it is that, okay, like I said, they're not entirely sure what this guy did with all these victims, but they think that he would put them up in the slaughterhouse just like a pig. He would cut them in half. They think that he would grind them up in like the wood chipper and feed them to the pigs. Or, this is one thing they were kind of afraid that had happened, was that because he sold pork
that maybe
from
he
the
sold
farm,
some of these people,
yeah.
Right.
And because he took shit to the rendering plant like all the time, they are not sure where a lot of that stuff ended up. So they had to put out like a media thing, and it's like, hey, if you bought pork from this guy, or you bought any like pork products from this area,
right,
you might have eaten a human. You might have eaten like someone like a relative.
Why did they tell him that?
Because they wanted to do a recall. They were just saying, just FYI. So like I said, they're looking around this farm. They're fucking just finding bones and teeth and fucking shit that belongs to missing people, like all over the place. They find, this is super special, and many sources have named this, they find a .22 revolver with a dildo attached to the barrel. Now, later on, when they tested the DNA on this, the DNA had Willy Pickton's DNA on it, and also a woman who had been reported missing. He said that he was using the dildo as a silencer on the pistol.
Okay.
So
there was a bullet hole through it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Because the first thing I thought of when I thought of pistol with a dildo on the end.
Yeah, you put it up and somebody pull it.
Right. That's what I was thinking. So
yeah.
I kind of feel like maybe he was doing that and didn't want to say that. I don't know. Does he have any shame? That's kind of what, like, if he did do that, would he admit it?
No. No, he wouldn't admit it. No.
I don't know.
No.
He might be too stupid to like think that.
I just wanted to know,
fucked up.
has anybody seen what this? I mean, were there any witnesses to what he was doing?
Well, as I was saying before, there was a woman. Now, according to the documentary that I watched, there was a woman. I can't remember what her name is, but she was a friend of his. Now, he never killed her, obviously, for whatever reason. But she used to come to the farm all the time for drugs and whatnot. Now, she later claimed, according to this documentary, that she either passed out or fell asleep at some party at his house and then woke up and then went out to the slaughterhouse and she saw Willy Pickton and there was a woman like hanging in the slaughterhouse. Like she saw like the woman's feet, like what she said it had purple nail polish on it. And he was like cutting her in half or something like you would a pig. So, but apparently she never said anything until later. I think she testified against him at the trial, but I don't think she said anything about it at the time. Now, see, what was happening was that because so many of these like sex workers and stuff were going missing, it was starting to get around on the low track that, hey, don't go with this guy because we think something fishy's going on. Like, you know what I mean? They're not like stupid. They see like a lot of their friends disappearing And they're like, the last person they were seen with was this dirtbag with all the money and the drugs. So maybe don't go with that guy. So what he started doing after that was that because he had a female friend, he would have that friend, allegedly, go and bring girls to him. Right? Because he was getting to a point where people were starting to recognize him and starting to feel like, this guy was the last guy that all these girls were seen with, and now they're gone. So they were starting to think something was up. So he started like recruiting female friends to go and get victims for him.
So what's his MO? I mean, he sits up in his pig farm.
Yeah.
And he goes to where the hookers are first.
Yeah.
And brings hookers back to his place.
He was doing that for a while, like I said, because he had a lot of money.
Okay.
So he would go, and some of the prostitutes that lived would later say, oh, he seems like a nice dude. He's got a lot of money. He's got good drugs.
So he was a repeat customer to somebody.
Yes.
So that means he would go and get certain hookers and bring them back to his place and then let them go over and over again. But some hookers he killed at his place.
Yes.
Okay.
Many.
And then later on, he'd have another girl go out there and go get them.
Yeah.
And bring
After
them back
it started getting...
Good.
Like, people started to recognize that he was the last guy that a lot of these girls had been seen with, and then, like, their friends noticed that they were not there anymore.
Does anybody have any idea of, like, why he would kill some and not others? I mean, is there a story here?
I don't really know. It just seems like this one woman in particular, and I wish I could remember what her name was, because she, I don't think they talked to her in the documentary, but they're talking about her. But I feel like she probably knew that he was doing that shit, but I don't know if she was, like, afraid of him or if she thought no one would believe her or what. And,
like, how did he kill him? Do they know what the means of...
He had a lot of guns, so I'm assuming that he shot them. He probably either shot them or strangled them. That's usually what they do. And then, as I said, they don't have a lot of details about this. They only know what they can surmise from all of the body parts that they found on the farm.
Couldn't have been about sex, because he was getting sex already. They were prostitutes, and he had money.
Well,
it must have been, it had something to do with bondage, where once he had them, he'd like to do... But we don't know, was it torture, or was it just execution?
It seemed like he got off on, like, once he... could pay prostitutes and they would do whatever. So, like, it seemed like he was almost getting off on, like, the escalation. Like a lot of serial killers do. It's like, oh, well, I can get sex from a woman because I can pay her. Right. But, then it kind of escalates to rape. Then it escalates to, now I'm going to cut her up like a pig. Right. Some of the people on the documentary speculated that he seemed to just see these women as he would a pig, just like an animal that he could do with what he wanted, and then he could just get rid of it.
Makes me wonder, was this motherfucker having sex with pigs?
It wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. Weird.
It seems like...
Weird.
Because you have to...
there's this crossover about women and pigs. And if women are pigs women? Does that
because I mean, you have to think too that like this guy grew up, his whole family from like a little kid. From everything I've read, was like this whole pig farm. Like they just let the pigs like run through the house, and it's like there was no separation between the human and the animal. So it would not shock me.
Yeah,
it would not shock me at all if he was also into bestiality. He seems like that type of guy.
Right.
I'm just allegedly.
Right.
Allegedly. Don't sue me. Don't sue me. Like this guy's gonna sue me.
Yeah.
I'm just for saying he's a pig fucker.
Yeah.
He's
locked up.
He very well may be. So as I said, at first they go for the illegal weapons thing, and then they come back because they find some other things. So he is eventually arrested on February 22nd of 2002. Now, they first charge him with 2 counts of first-degree murder because those were like the strongest cases of like what they found some of the people's stuff. It's like they found blood that they determined probably belonged to these victims. So those were their 2 strongest cases. These were Serena Abotswe and Mona Wilson. Those were the first 2 murders that he was charged with. Now, what they decided to do, because they weren't really getting anywhere when they were interviewing him, so they thought, well, they suspected at this point that he was probably a serial killer and that he wasn't all that bright. So they said, what we're going to do is we're going to put him in a cell, and we're going to put him in a cell with an undercover cop who is pretending to be another murderer, and see if he yaps. Because they're like, he seems like the type of dude that would want to brag about how many people he killed. Now, you have to imagine at this point, they have only just arrested him. They've only charged him with 2. They think that he's killed a lot more, but they're not sure how many, because there's just like parts and DNA and blood just all over this farm. And, you know, just like fucking corpse soup and whatever. So they put him in this cell with an undercover officer. Now, what he says to the undercover officer is that... Sorry.
She's acting crazy.
The cat's back there.
Come here. Come here.
What are you doing?
Being crazy.
Get on the show, Pookie. Look at her. You're just tearing everything up. Aw, poor little baby. So they put him in the cell with the undercover officer, and he says to the undercover officer that... he implies that he has killed 49 women because he's like, oh, well, I was going for an even 50, but I got sloppy. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what he said. Now, if we're going by how many women were missing from this particular area and this particular time period, could be as many as 70 because there were a really lot of women missing from that area. But as far as we know, he has admitted indirectly to killing 49 women, although they haven't found that many bodies. Now, what they did at first, when they got his stupid ass into custody, they're like, okay, well, we found a shit ton of bodies on this farm. Now, as they searched through it, because it took a really long time, it's a pretty large piece of property, and they're going through all the shit and everything. They found tons of, like, just pieces and blood and DNA all over the place. What I've heard is that they found DNA from 80 different people,
Damn.
Male and female. So now that doesn't necessarily mean that he killed 80 people. That could just be some dudes that he invited there to, like, rape bitches and their semen is in the house. I don't know. But
well, they did have those big parties going on.
That's what I mean. So it doesn't necessarily mean that he's killed 80, although, again, just like the pig fucking, it wouldn't surprise me. But...
did he have any guy friends?
Not many. He didn't seem to have a lot of friends, period. I mean, like
Okay.
I said, he seemed like everyone that knew him, nobody seemed to know him very closely. Even the guy that worked at their farm just said he was really hard to get to know. He was very quiet. Some of the women, like I said, that survived that had, like, spent time with him were like, well, you know, he just kept to himself. He was very stoic. And they also, a lot of them said that he was, like, kind of, they didn't really specify what they were talking about, but they said that he was real quiet. He was real, they said that his behavior was very weird, but they wouldn't, like, go deeper into what they were talking about.
Right.
So I kind of feel like I said, he wasn't a smart dude. On the documentary that I saw, they compared him to, like, they said he was very, like, cunning, like an animal, but not much more than that.
Right.
Now, that's kind of an important point to make, because when he first went to trial, what they decided to do was that even though they suspected that he killed a shit ton more people, they said, what we're going to do, the judge determined, he's like, we're going to take these 6 cases that are the strongest, and we're going to put those all in one trial. Now, he's like, there are 20 or 21 other charges. He's like, we'll do that later because those are... he's like, that was a case where they couldn't match up body parts or anything like that. They're like, those are cases where we just found alleged possessions of these missing women on his property. You know, so it's still plausible deniability that he didn't kill them, even though I'm sure he probably did. But he's like, these 6 cases, we have the bodies, we have DNA, we have all of this shit. So we're gonna do this because like we don't want any mistrial. We want this motherfucker in jail. So we don't want anything to go wrong. So they just like, they just said we're just gonna do these 6. Now his defense argued that essentially his defense was he is too stupid to have pulled all of this off by himself.
That's awesome.
They're not saying that he didn't do it. They're just saying, oh, well, there must have been like his brother David or somebody like that. There must have been somebody else because he was too dumb.
It's called the dumbass defense.
It's the dumbass defense.
I'm too dumb for that shit. I don't know what you're talking about.
Essentially what they did.
I could have never done that. I'm too fucking stupid.
I'm just a poor pig
I'm just
farmer.
dumb. Yeah, dumb.
I don't know how to cut up people just like you would cut up a pig. Like, it takes a smart person to do that.
Yeah.
That's whatever. But, I know defense lawyers, they got to have an angle. Yeah. That's just how it works. But that was the angle they chose because I guess that was the only one that they had available to them. They're like, look at him, for Christ's sake.
He's too dumb to kill all those
He's
women.
just this stupid, stinky motherfucker sitting here in the courtroom. Right. There's no way he could have done all this and all this other. So that was essentially...
Yeah.
Now, in a way, like, I'm not going to say it worked because it didn't work because he's in prison. But they were going for first-degree murder. There was some controversy about one of the jurors, and I don't know if this is true or not, but one of the jurors was like dead set against like thinking he was innocent and all this other kind of stuff, and like there was all this big thing about it. But like I said, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I've read that in a couple of sources. But when the verdict came back, they ended up giving him second-degree murder. 6 counts.
6 counts of
second-degree murder.
For a serial killer.
Yeah, but, well, it ended up okay, though, because they said, well, because of all these counts of sorry, the cat's making noises
I'm watching
again.
it.
She's just, like,
She's tearing the place up.
I have, like, a little thing of paper back there, and that's, like, her favorite
Yeah, I got to show it to.
Leah, let's see this.
I can't reach.
No, it's not.
It can't reach. Don't worry about it, people. I was trying to show you guys. It's a sight to see. Stop doing it. Stop it. Okay.
But she loves to like tear the paper up and chew it and stuff. She leaves like a big thing, and then she's like, "Bye, I'm out. I just messed up your floor."
Oh, she's acting like she's asleep now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. But yeah, so they said second-degree murder, I guess, because they thought diminished capacity was too stupid. But also the judge kind of allowed it because they said, okay, well, 6 counts of second-degree murder, he's going to go to prison forever anyway, so it doesn't really matter whether it was first-degree murder or second-degree murder because he's not getting out.
They just hit him with the system.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they did. Now, the fucked up thing about it, though, is that, like I said, there were 20 or 21 more counts that are still... I don't think they're necessarily pending because I think they thought, why bother? We're just going to close it because he's already in prison forever. And, you know, we're not just going to go through all the trouble of this, even though I'm sure the families would probably like to see like some justice for their particular relative or whatever. But I don't think they're going to do it at this point just because he's already in there. And I feel like it would just probably be superfluous.
Yeah.
But... I don't know. It's kind of fucked up, and it seems kind of fucked up when you're like, oh, there's all these fucking charges that they're never gonna hit him with, just because.
Right.
It was just, but you know, they did what they should have done at the start. They said, okay, well, these 6 murders, we have their bodies, we have the DNA, we know that he killed them because we found like their skulls in half and their fucking blood and everything on the
They're just doing
pig farm.
They're just doing it the easiest way that they can to defend the fucking Canadian public, really.
Yeah, and they just said we want enough, enough charges that will stick, that he's not going to get off on a technicality, that he's not going to, that he'll just be in prison and he'll be away from everybody and it will be fine.
So what's happening next? I mean,
basically, I mean, they did, like I said, they did a huge excavation.
What's the problem?
What
is your problem?
What are you doing?
And she lays down. Oh, I'm not doing anything.
But she is, as soon as you turn your back again.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like I said, they excavated as much of the property they could. They found all kinds of horrible shit, like not only bodies and stuff, but also all kind of bondage gear, weapons, all kind of shit. So, as I said, they found the DNA from 80 different victims. They don't know if all those are murder victims. He has obliquely admitted to killing 49 women because he said to the undercover officer, I wanted to go for an even 50, but I messed it up. I got sloppy and I got caught. So they're assuming that he's killed 49, but technically he's been convicted of 6 and, might be charged with 20 or 21 more. So 27, I think, is his sort of total that they give him, even though they think it's probably 49
Bundy.
and could be as high as 70.
Bundy would have called this guy a bottom feeder.
He was, yes.
He
was.
Bundy would have been like, man, it's easy to kill that many women if they're fucking broke-ass hookers.
Well, yeah,
Bundy
and
went,
like I
went for
said...
the good college girls.
Yeah, these are... And we've mentioned this before. It's
Right.
kind of shitty because, I mean, these are poor women. They're, some of them are just teenagers. Yeah. This is fucked up, but I read online this neighborhood in Vancouver, the Low Track. They're like, there's even a particular street on there where you can go get underage hookers. There's like 11-year-old girls and shit like strolling up and down the street. I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying, if you're from Canada, tell me, but I've just read that somewhere.
Old Dennis would have put it like this. Gotta understand, sometimes this just happens in very low income areas when you have guys they're not under control of themselves,
Yeah.
And not a good man, not upstanding, not a man that the community can depend on. Definitely not a Christian. Definitely not a Christian. Well, some men have sexual problems.
Oh shit.
Some men have sexual problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't have sexual problems like me. My sexual problems were not this bad. This guy here, I'm channeling Dennis Rader.
Again.
No, I want you people to understand something. What happens on those pig farms, it's bad. It's bad. We have to get governmental control over pig farms in case things were abused like that, You can always put me in charge of the pig farm. If you release me, I'll go out and I'll make sure
that sounds
bad
like a
things
fantastic
don't happen
idea.
on pig farms.
Yeah. You'll be in charge of all the pig farms, making sure that none of these shenanigans can take place.
I have an Irish-American background,
Yeah.
I know what shenanigans are all about. It's
shenanigans and chicanery.
Shenanigans and chicanery. I was gifted with a certain DNA to spot shenanigans and chicanery. We can use that to help the government.
Yeah.
Keep these people under control.
Mm.
I've been gifted with very special gifts to see this.
Yeah, they're special, all right.
Very special. I can spot it. I can root it out. Special badge. Give me a special badge and I'll do it for you. Just let me out.
I'll get right on that.
Yeah. So that was Dennis. That's what Dennis had to say about it.
Thank you, Dennis. He's always so insightful on all of these true crime shows. Dennis Rader, ladies
Man who doesn't even shower. He doesn't shower.
Yeah, see, I figured you would not approve of this individual.
Of course not. These are all prostitute women, and that's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
Yeah. And this, like I said, this is a man that slept with pigs. Maybe fucked pigs, allegedly. Allegedly.
We could surmise that, yeah.
We could surmise that.
That probably happened.
You're sleeping in a bed with a pig. Sometimes, shit happens.
Yeah, Dennis.
So I've heard, Right, so... Fucking Dennis.
Look at the cat.
Okay, you guys, you can't see this, but...
She's trying to go underneath pillows.
There's 2 pillows over there, like, on the floor, and she's, like, trying to, like, scooch underneath them. Pillows, she's like, oh, look, I'm making a cave.
She tried to go underneath my Oriental rug.
Yeah.
And she came out the other side, she goes, rug isn't forever. I said, no,
she's like,
not.
wait, I'm in the same room I was in before. This is bullshit.
It doesn't go anywhere.
I thought it was, like, a portal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she made a tunnel. She, like, picked up her paw, and she made, like, a little tunnel. And then she went through it, and then went all the way through the
rug,
and she's like, woohoo, and she's like, oh.
This doesn't go anywhere. Yeah.
Oh, I'm in the same room. I'm just by my tree plate, big fucking deal.
So is that the end of this show?
Pretty much, like I said, they don't really know because they found so much DNA on this farm, and as I said, they tore all the buildings down now. It's like you can't go on it, but they've kind of taken it over just in case. But they don't really know what he did to these women. They're surmising that he would go, he would pick them up. Later on, he would get his female friends to go pick them up and bring them back. Like, hey, come party with, Pork Chop Rob. He's the best. He has money and drugs and everything.
A millionaire.
Right, which he was, is that was to me like the freakiest fucking detail. So they bring the prostitutes back. Some of them he let go, like I said, because some of them didn't really have anything bad to say about him. But for whatever reason, every now and then he would find one and he's like, yeah, I'm going to handcuff this one to the bed, rape her, and then he would either shoot them or strangle them, hang them in his slaughterhouse, cut them open like a pig. Now they think
and then
that...
feed them to y'all.
Yeah, he either fed them to his other pigs, like, because he had some pigs that, like I said, he sold for meat. He also had a really big, like a 600-pound boar that was kind of like the farm pet and also guard dog. Like, it would kind of go around the perimeter and, like, bite people and shit.
Yeah.
So they think that he might have either ground the women up and fed them to the pigs, or ground them up, because I think they did find on the property a couple of garbage bags full of, like, ground up human meat. Damn. So they think also that he took some of them perhaps to the rendering plant, as I said, or he sold some of them mixed in with the pork that he was selling to the public. And this, I was watching the documentary, I think it was on the Biography channel now that I'm thinking about it. But, so I'm watching the documentary about that. You getting her out of trouble?
Yeah, she's playing.
You're getting in trouble. But, this poor woman who was, I think she was the niece of one of the victims. And she was talking about when they first heard, when the government came out and said, if you bought pork from this guy or from this particular rendering plant, or you bought products from there, you might have eaten human, might want to go get that checked out. And she said on this fucking documentary, she said, like, yeah, I may have eaten my aunt. And I was like, shit. Oh my God, that is fucked up. I couldn't have, and for her to, like, say that, it's like, oh my God, I wouldn't even be able to, like, get those fucking words out. That's like a fucking horrifying thing to fucking, I mean, on top of everything else. Now, like I said, they never proved it, but from what they found at the farm, they're just extrapolating.
Here in the U.S., people would have
probably that's what happened.
Here in the U.S., people would have sued the cops and the government for them even saying that you may have eaten your family.
But the thing,
like, I mean, it's trauma, and yeah.
No, but you have to know, because if you've eaten human, you could get all kind of fucking diseases from meat. You could get like that fucking, you get mad cow, but human.
Yeah, human mad cow.
No, it's the same thing. You get like the prions, right? Because that's why cows get mad cow
from eating other cows.
From eating other cows.
Yeah, cows.
So
are cannibals.
You get kuru.
Yeah.
From humans eating other humans, like cannibals get it.
Well, cows don't necessarily.
It's the same thing, though.
They're eating other cows because the cows got mixed in with the feed.
Well,
that they put
yeah,
together.
that's what I mean. That's where mad cow comes from, because they don't. It's not like, oh, we're feeding
She's
cows
got that
to
shit.
I do.
Yeah.
No, I don't have that.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just saying. Well, okay, this is what happened. I lived in the UK in the 90s when the whole mad cow scare was going on. So now every time if I go to give blood, like I went to the Red Cross or I was at a con or something.
She can't give blood.
And they said, did you live in the UK between like 1995 and whatever? And I was like, yeah, I did. Did you eat beef while you were there? Yeah. Well, we don't want your blood.
Right.
It's not because they think, oh, you have mad cow. But they're like, we don't have a test for that.
Okay.
That's why. Because they don't have a test where they can... Because it doesn't manifest until you get older.
Right.
So it can stay in, like, your system for, like, a really long time. It has, like, a really long, like, incubation period.
Well, okay, so what are the symptoms in case you start coming down with it? I'll recognize it. What are the symptoms? What do I have to watch for first?
It will basically manifest, like, dementia.
Oh, well, there you go. You got it.
I have dementia?
You got that shit, yeah.
Since when?
Crazy as hell.
Oh, stop.
Okay.
I'm not crazy.
I know.
You're way crazier than I am.
Yeah.
And you're not that crazy, but you're definitely way crazier than I am. I don't have mad cow.
I'm drunk, though.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
I haven't even got through one drink, and you're already...
I got two. And I'm cooking.
Yeah,
we gotta wrap this shit up.
Those hot dogs are going to blow up if
we gotta wrap
go
it.
out. They've been on for like...
Yeah, but it's on low. It's on low. That's like maybe 180 degrees, 200 degrees maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't believe we're wrapping up a show about Willy Pickton, the pig farmer killer, and we're
Yeah.
gonna go eat hot dogs.
He's
We
eating
didn't.
hot
I
dogs.
swear to God, we did not do that on purpose. That was it. We just had that in the fridge, and he's like, "Hey, you want some?" Because we haven't had
Eat
dinner
some
yet.
Hot dogs, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "You want?" I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds good." And then I was like talking about the show, and I'm like, "Oh shit,
We
that
ate all
sounds
day,
like
but we didn't have
super
dinner.
insensitive."
We ate all day.
I didn't
though.
eat all day.
I ate little crackers and cheese. I ate all
I had a
kinds
bowl
of
of
shit.
soup, dude.
Okay. All right.
While you were at the doctor's office.
I was like munching out all day, little munchies.
Yeah, so it's like, don't do this we shit. It's not you. It's
Okay,
not
all
we.
right.
It's you.
Okay.
I had a bowl of soup.
It's me then.
I had a bowl of soup and a little piece of bread.
Okay.
That's all I've had all day long. And you were at the doctor's office.
Yeah.
I had that while you were gone.
Yeah.
But that was like
I'm not.
that was like 9 hours ago.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten for 9 fucking hours.
Okay, fine. I got it coming.
I know, that's what I'm
Wrap
saying.
a show up and we'll eat.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to go eat our hot dogs that hopefully don't have any human meat in them, but I'm
They
sure they
don't.
probably will. Knowing how hot dogs are made, I'm just saying. All right.
Snouts and hooves and shit.
Yeah, well, lips and assholes. That's what my dad always said.
Yeah.
Lips and assholes. That's all right. They're delicious. With ketchup on them, I know that's like... I like ketchup and relish on them. All right, but so that will wrap it up for... I know, I'm so lame.
Yeah. Ketchup on a hot dog.
I know it's bad.
Damn.
I'm not ashamed though because
Ketchup
it's good.
on a hot dog.
Ketchup's good.
Okay.
I don't put it on steak or nothing, but it's
Okay.
like it's
All
good
right.
on a little bit's good on a hot dog. Ketchup and relish, and sometimes a little bit of mayo. All right, so that will do it for episode 140 about Pork Chop Rob, Willy fucking Pickton, one of the worst Canadian serial killers of all time, the pig farmer killer. What a scumbag.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm glad we had an insight from Dennis Rader about what a scumbag that dude was and how he's so much better than this
Not an
person.
intelligent man. Doesn't take a shower. Didn't, going after... He's a bottom feeder. He's hanging out with pigs. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
He was in
I
violation. He had many violations in his safety code and his standards.
His grass was
His
too
grass was too high. The pigs were, not fed properly, and I would have fined him, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Jenny. I'm glad. I'm very happy to be a guest on 13 o'clock, and even though Tomm's an asshole, I can't stand that guy. Thinks he knows everything.
Well, he does, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
All right. You done, Dennis? Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So that'll do it for episode 140. As I said, now remember, if you like the show, like, share, subscribe on all your social media, share with all your friends and family. If you would like to financially support the show, it would be much appreciated. You can go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/13o'clockpodcast. Or go to our blog, which is 13o'clockpodcast.wordpress.com. And there's a little button in the sidebar where it'll go to a PayPal account where you can give a one-time donation if you'd like to. Remember, go check out our friend, Rob Levinson. He's a friend and a patron of the show. He's making a movie called Where Were You? And he has an Indiegogo. There's a link in the show description if you'd like to go check that out and help him out with his movie. And then go do that. Also, our last movie review was the Rape Revenge vigilante film Ms. 45 by Abel Ferreira. So go check that out if you haven't already. And that will do it for our latest episode. We will see you next time. Bye.
See you guys around.
Thank you, Dennis.
You're welcome.